Hi there. Today is a biggie, day 9. So you might refer back to this a couple times, and that's okay. It's all good. We're all learning and growing. The fact that you're even here right now, willing, says a lot about your dedication and commitment. And I am so proud of you. Let's not waste any more time and get right to it. What is embodiment? You probably have heard and seen seen it enough from me on my social, and maybe from all our goddess witchy woo-woo sisters that are preaching about it too. And there's a good reason for that. Here's my favorite definition that I have found on embodiment so far. Embodiment is about staying present internally while experiencing life. Embodiment is how you take your insides and show them on your outside. Embodiment describes the experience and process of fully inhabiting your skin in such a way that your thoughts, actions, feelings, and intentions find a cohesive expression through your body. That is from the Somatic Therapy Workbook by Livia Shapiro. I'm going to repeat it again because it's so good. Okay, I want you guys to sink this in. Maybe close your eyes if your eyes aren't already closed. Embodiment is about staying present internally while experiencing life. Embodiment is how you take your insides and show them on your outside. Embodiment describes the experience and process of fully inhabiting your skin in such a way that your thoughts, actions, feelings, and intentions find a cohesive expression through your body. So good. It's essentially living your life so palpably that you fully feel alive and aligned, like cellularly aligned, full of intention, full of love, full of life. In the embodiment work that we get to do in here, we're moving from desensitization to awakening our sensual field. So as you experience from the nonlinear movement and dancing on day 6, and the hand to heart from day 7, and even some of you who have reached out for coaching and I walked you through an embodiment session, all of those actions of contemplation offers a deep, profound connection and openness that our bodies give us so long as we settle down and slow down enough to give ourselves a chance to access it. Everything up until now is just scratching the surface. And today, we're about to dive in just a level deeper. So before we go there, we must acknowledge what we're facing now. Remember the desensitization I mentioned just a couple minutes ago? Now, I don't want to play the blame game, but we all have fallen victim to the easily accessible, very distracting ways of technology. It literally has a hold on us. Having our phones is an easy way out of connection, wouldn't you say? Have you ever been to a gathering like a meeting or a party and it gets a little boring or a little awkward, so you whip out your phone, maybe because the vibe isn't welcoming or you're just feeling a bit shy or reserved that day? Or have you ever just came home from work and your kids or your partner were waiting to connect with you, but you've had such a stressful day and you don't want to unload all your crap onto your loved ones, so you just unconsciously choose to decompress by scrolling on your phone instead? Kind of like you're there, but you're not there. Please do not feel bad. We all do it. The convenience of our electronics is doing us dirty to our nervous system. Y'all, our nervous system is such a powerful network that is constantly working for us 24/7. let me show you with this brief anatomy lesson that you didn't ask for. It will all make sense in the end, I promise. Yay! I geek out on this stuff, so excuse my excitement. So, part of our nervous system that we're touching on today is the autonomic nervous system. This is the animal primal system that is automatic, meaning it moves without our conscious awareness of it. Kind of if you think about, like, you don't ask your heart to keep beating for you. You don't ask your lungs to expand and contract. You don't ask your endocrine system to do all the things that it needs to do for you. You're not sitting there intentionally like, okay, heartbeat, you know? You're not doing that because it's automatically done for you so that you have the space to create and to conversate, to be in love, to create things. I already said that, but you know what I mean. Inside our autonomic nervous system, we have the parasympathetic, which is in charge of rest, digest, and the sympathetic side, which is in charge of us taking action or fight or flight. Every day we move back and forth between these two spaces. That's called regulation or coming into balance. There's upregulation and downregulation. What I want to point out here is the parasympathetic nervous system has two sides called the ventral vagal and the dorsal vagal. I'll show you why this is important in a bit, but before I do that, I don't know if you guys can see it in the little pink dots near the stomach area on the left picture. You see the little pink dots floating up along, but most of it's in like the stomach area. That is your gut brain. That is the feeling in your gut that goes all the way up towards your heart. Isn't that so cool? So cool. Anyway, the left side, you can kind of see the red, right? That's your vagus nerve. It goes and touches on all of your organs, and the blue is the social emotional aspect. This is when we started becoming social human beings. So, it goes to your eyes, your nose, and like all of these senses when how they say like body language speaks louder than what you say. Like, this is what it's pointing to. Your body automatically can sense people's vibes before like listening to what they're saying, or all of that good stuff, right? Okay, and we go with the sympathetic. That track goes down along our spines, right? The fight or flight. This is, you can see all the organs and all of the things that it sends information. Our nervous system sends us information towards all of these organs, and our organs sends information back to us, right? This is like, I'm just going to briefly go over it. There's so much that goes in depth, but that's what I want you guys to get out of these two pictures, is the back and the front, and how it's interconnected to every single parts of our body, right? Cool. Okay, generally, the direction or intensity of the sensations we feel can be called arousal. In other words, I like to think of arousal as energy to make it feel more tangible, but I'm talking more so not just arousal as like during sex and getting turned on and all that stuff. I'm talking more about the arousal of the energy that you feel within your bodies, in your nervous system. Okay? As you can see, there are different states that we experience in any given moment. When life happens to us, we are automatically either being activated by upregulating or pressing on the gas, like as if you're in the car, you're pressing on the gas, you're going, or down regulating, like pressing on the brakes slowly. And when you're driving a car, you press, you don't really slam on the brakes, you slowly, gently brake, right? That is going down, rest and restore. So going through this, activation is like fight, flight, or flooded. There's hyper aroused. I'll talk more about this later, but this is like you being super hyped up. super like have a lot of energy, feel like you gotta do something. Like you can't just sit still, you have to do something. That's hyper aroused. Calm is in the middle, calm, focus, and alert. This is when you're like in flow. This is when you are, enjoying yourself, right? Could be could be with people, could be with yourself, but this is when you are feeling connected. Then down there we have hypo aroused, meaning you can't find the energy to do it, like procrastination. I'm talking about, um, you know, feeling just too tired to do things, feeling quote unquote lazy, right? Then there's drowsy, and underneath that, you're asleep. And then underneath that, while you're asleep, you're resting and restoring. That is the inhibition, the break, right? Did you also know that scrolling through IG or TikTok is a hypo aroused state? That's when you can't find the energy, but you're just scrolling and you're taking all these dopamine hits while your body is just chilling. Yeah. Majority of people who have anxiety, possibly from burnout from overworking, can be stuck in hyper aroused state, right? You're feeling like so much energy, like you have to do something, you always have to do something, that there's not the long list of to-dos are just never ending, and you just feel this anxiety if you don't get things done because you have to do it all today, right now. I've been there. I used to work out of that a lot. And then there are people who suffer from depression and can feel super isolated from being stuck in the hypo aroused state. You're like scrolling from days on end, you're binge watching Netflix, you're um, just saying no to any invitation, and then you start to lose your friends because they know not to ask you out anymore because you always flake. And I've also been there too. Also been there too. This is all due to the dysregulation in our nervous system, our autonomic nervous system. This happens automatically without our even awareness of it, right? So when you start to notice and become aware of which state you're in, you can use embodiment exercises to assist your nervous system to move back into balance. Embodiment practice addresses the stored stress that you might be carrying inside your nervous system, thus freeing you to be able to self-regulate back to a connected, safe space. So cool, right? So cool. It's about to be even cooler once I show you this next slide. Okay, here's an amazing visual piece of all this information put together. Remember how this parasympathetic nervous system has two sides? The dorsal vagal and the ventral vagal, the rest and digest, right? Us balancing and regulating our nervous system through embodiment has us live our lives in ventral vagal, which is what I often refer to as the green. When I work with my clients, I say, "You're in the green." Oh my gosh, do you know what I hear? You're being curious. That means you're in the green. You are safe, right? Some parts of our minds, our logical self, the very linear part of ourselves tries to make sense of what's going on. And when you're coaching with me, or when you have somebody like me to co-regulate with you, it can show you this access point to becoming safe again, to becoming connected again, to feeling grounded again, right? Um, So the joy, being in the present, groundedness, curiosity, I'm looking at the green, openness, compassion, and mindfulness. These are all clues to safety and connection with yourself, others, and your environment. And do you see on the left side, arousal increases? This is when I was talking about like the activation, right? So the goal isn't to stay in the green all the time because that's really unrealistic. Because throws curveballs at us. Life is gonna happen. Shit's gonna happen. And we are responsible to deal with it, right? So that means we're going to be dysregulated regularly. So if there was a goal, it's to be flexible in having a robust relationship of our nervous system. Yeah? So, for instance, let me walk you through this graph, beautiful image here. When arousal increases, let's say you're activated by something. When you hear people say like activated, it also means like another word that people use is triggered. Like, oh my God, that triggered me into something and I don't know what it is, right? So if you hear yourself saying like, oh my God, I feel triggered, that is the activation coming up. So then you start to worry. You see the flight. So you're either two sides. You can flight and move away. So worry, concern, anxiety, fear, panic. You can start to feel that and it's going up and up and up. Or you can feel fight. You're like frustrated. You want to do something about it. You're irritated. You're angry. You are rageful. This is a sympathetic side. This is I'm going back to the back side of your spine. This is like, okay, I'm going to move. I'm going to do something. Okay. That's upregulation. You're upregulating. It goes up, it goes up, it goes up until if you don't do anything about it and it keeps going up and you still feel this like all of these feelings, panic, rage, fear, anger, anxiety, irritation, worry, concern, frustration. If you feel that, you're still being sympathetic. And then you reach the point of overwhelm. And once you're so overwhelmed, then you feel helpless. You feel depressed, numb, disassociated. Like when you start to reach for the third glass of wine or something, or if you start to, disassociate, scroll, find your phone, go on the whatever app or game that you like to use to disassociate, to decompress, as we start saying. You're in freeze state, your body collapsed, there's immobility. So if you were an animal, this would be playing dead. This would be playing dead, right? When there's a predator coming and you're like, oh, it automatically happens to the animal, and we're animals too. It automatically happens because we sense a threat and we don't know what to do. We don't move away from it, or we don't move towards it. We just play dead. We freeze. When you freeze, you feel shame, you feel shut down, you feel hopeless. You feel like you feel like you're dying. I know it sounds, especially for us women, we get in depending on what part of our phase that we are in our cycle, sometimes you feel like you're dying. You're like, oh my God, am I dying right now? And you get in your head and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to blah, 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 all of this stuff, right? That sense of overwhelm, and then you go on your phone and you just start scrolling to find things that make you feel better. Like, come on. I'm not the only one that feels this. I know you know what I feel, what I'm talking about. Or you feel trapped. This is your dorsal vagal. Dorsal vagal. This is your emergency state. Okay, now I'm looking on the right side of the graph. It increases fuel storage, insulin activity, aka you might be gaining weight here if you're stuck in this freeze state. Endorphins that help feel numb raise the pain threshold, meaning like if there's something in your life that you are just tolerating, but it's literally not okay for you to keep tolerating, this is when you're like, you're here. You're here in your free state. You're immobile. You don't know what to do, right? Freeze. It decreases your heart rate, blood pressure, temperature, muscle tone, facial expressions. You kind of just have like the resting RBF, the RBF kind of. Um, no eye contact. Just all of this is very automatic. That's the main thing I wanted to point out here is like all of the stuff is automatically. But now that I'm sharing this information with you, you'll be able to see when you get in those states. And then you'll have your embodiment practices to help you shift out and down regulate or up regulate. Okay. So you see how there's like a bell curve. You're going up, and that's up regulation. Sometimes when we get stuck in that freeze state for so long, honestly, if I'm being truthful with you guys, I was in a freeze state for over a year. Over a year. Over a year. That's crazy. I was just surviving. I'm still taking my daughter to school, making sure she's happy, all this stuff. But inside, like my sparkle is frozen. She's frozen, put away somewhere deep down in a cave, right? So, and then I found embodiment practice and embodiment work, and I found somatic experiencing, and then I start to thaw myself. Now I'm back to ventral vagal. I'm back in the green, right? Um, this is what I offer you today. This is the importance of being so present and with staying with it, staying with everything that you feel. All these practices, all these little journal prompts, all these feelings that are coming up can point to where you are at in your nervous system. And then you could use the somatic experiencing 30-day chart to help you move yourself out and help you thaw. You know, the hand to heart, that is you thawing the freeze state. That is you thawing the shame so that you can come back into the green, into joy, into feeling compassion, into being curious, into your ventral vagal. Another thing that I wanted to point to is, do you see right on top of the green this little squiggly line? A little squiggly line? That is the flexibility that I'm pointing to, that we are all working towards now. Okay? This flexibility, it's like, okay, I know how to regulate myself now. I know how to, if I find myself super hyped up, I know how to get myself back to being calm. If I find myself super just feeling like I'm needing to procrastinate, or like I can't find the energy to do something, then I have exercises that I can do to bring myself back to the green and to live in the green. Here's another thing. Our nervous systems, when life happens to us, it makes impressions in our nervous system. And I'll get into this a little bit later in the month. I don't think we're all ready for that yet, but just to plant the seed, our nervous system carries everything from conception. So if your parents were going through shit while you were in their belly, it made an impression in your nervous system, which has you blocked in your life, essentially. And doing this work, knowing this information now, being educating yourself in this information, going through the practices, staying with all of these emotions, having yourself move this energy out. You know how they say issues are stuck in your tissues? This is what we're doing. It's so awesome. Hopefully this lesson can empower you to know that it's not at all your fault for feeling stuck or burnt out sometimes. We weren't taught the education of self-regulation, and we can't blame our parents because they weren't taught that either. All we can do is to be overly compassionate with ourselves and to create space. We want to also be overly compassionate with the people around us as well, because they don't know. They don't know what we know now. And now we have the responsibility, the ability to respond to life with love, for staying connected with our own body, mind, and spirit. And everything else, like the magic and sparkle, will flow through not only easier, but quicker. Cool? No matter where you are in your practice, always stay with it. Stay with it. Okay? That might look like some trembling. That might look like, when I mean trembling, I mean like your core is bracing. It's hard for you to breathe. You stay with it. You breathe through it. Have you ever watched a kid have a temper tantrum? By the way, for the mothers on here, your kid is doing the best he or she can with what he or she has. Their nervous system isn't fully, their brains aren't fully developed to be able to handle emotions. That's why they have tantrums. It's not their fault that they don't understand what you're trying to say to them. And you don't have to fix or try to figure out what they're trying to say either. It's they felt something. They're learning to self-regulate, but they need that co-regulation with you. So, back to what I'm saying. It might look like you having temper tantrums and soothing yourself throughout the whole process, giving yourself that space to be with the anger, with the rage, with all of it, with the sadness, with the shame, whatever all of it moves through. Okay? I know this is not easy work. This isn't something people love to just want to do, unless you're crazy like me. And I really thrive on creating more access, more freedom, even if it takes me having to push through some uncomfortable shit. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. And I hope you think it is too. So, any trembling, if you're doing meditations and you're starting to feel these emotions come up and there's trembles and you start shaking, just like the nonlinear movement, allow it, stay with it. If you start to cry, stay with it. Follow what your inner roommate is telling you. Allow that space to be heard and seen. Allow all parts of you to be heard and seen without judgment. Give it compassion because you did not know any better. Now you know better. Now you know it's just your automatic, like these are just impressions made in your nervous system throughout your whole entire life. And you get to choose now. Okay? Some affirmations that I offer along with this deep embodiment work. The safest place to be is in my body. I love my body. You can put this like random alarms and put this affirmation on at random times in your day. It's really awesome. Also, I honor my inner wisdom by showing up for myself daily. Tomorrow is a big one too. We're going to touch on food rules, but you can do this. I hope this, let me know in the comments down below what this opened up for you, if this all makes sense, if I need to go more detail, or if I don't, if I went too fast. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about this information because this information opened up my world so much to understanding why we do the things that we do and giving more compassion to others as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm very sorry this is longer than 20 minutes. Love you. Bye.